If you want businesses to invest in America, you have to tax them. It provokes them to invest in America. Check it out, leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. So let me just lay this out in a fairly straightforward fashion, and make my argument. Again, I mean, I sort of made it with Charles, but and then I'll pick up your phone calls on this. There's also a few other things in the news that I want to get to too. That we're hearing from Anne Frank's stepsister about Donald Trump, for example, and well, I'll get to those things in a minute. But most Americans have never run a business. The number of people in this country who are entrepreneurs who have started businesses is fairly small. I mean, it's substantial compared to countries that don't allow that sort of thing, but it's not a lot of people. So most people, never having run a business, don't understand how the corporate income tax works. The corporate income tax is very straightforward. At the end of the year, you say, okay, this year we brought in $100,000 in revenue, and we had $70,000 in expenses that that we paid to salaries or to expenses or what that are all tax deductible. And so what's left over, and it's basically, for a small business, is literally what's left over in your checking account at the end of the year. We're sitting here with $30,000 sitting in the checking account, and we don't want to pay taxes on it. So what do? We buy a new computer, or we lease a vehicle. We raise our expenses in a way, or we invest in the company, or we develop a new product, or we hire a marketing firm and we start doing advertising or promotion. These are all things that are entirely tax deductible. What's going on right now with this super low tax rate is that businesses are engaged in activity that is taxable. In other words, shoveling money to their CEOs. There's a tax consequence to that to companies over, after the first million, as I recall. And paying dividends, this is taxable activity as well. But because the tax rate is so low, much of the profits that companies, in particular big companies, have, if they can't stash it overseas, offshore, which is something that the Biden administration is talking about, tightening up that loophole so they can't get away with that anymore. But if they can't do that, what they do is they just take that, because it's a very low tax rate. Hey, we'll pay the 5 or 10 or 15%, with a 21% top tax rate right now. The effective rate drops dramatically because of all the loopholes and things. So yeah, we'll pay a little bit of tax on that money, but it'll allow us to take the money out of the business. You raise that corporate tax rate up to, say, 50%, where it was from the 1940s to the 1980s, or even 35%, where Reagan said it, and it stayed until just a few years ago. You raise it up into that range, 35 to 50%, and at that point, companies say at the end of the year, if we just shovel all this money out as dividends and CEO pay, we're going to have to pay a fairly big tax bill. We don't want to do that. So let's instead support the local Little League and build parks around our factory or our warehouse or our business to benefit the local community. It's tax deductible. Or let's invest in advertising or marketing, or let's develop a new product. Joe Manchin is going through this whole thing about how, I'm not going to support increasing corporate taxes beyond 25%. And I get that there's politics here, and I get that West Virginia is kind of a it's a very red state, and he's got to answer to the people who put him in Congress. I get all that. This is not any kind of personal knock on Joe Manchin. But the point is that the economics of this, if you actually want businesses to invest in West Virginia, if you want businesses that are currently in West Virginia to grow their businesses and hire new people, then raise the corporate taxes. It's very, very straightforward. A couple other things I wanted to share with you that I think are pretty shocking. First of all, the Biden administration today taking action on guns. And if you'd like to get into a rant or a debate about guns, feel free. The Justice Department says that they're going to crack down on ghost guns. These are the ones made from kits assembled at home. They have no serial numbers. They're going to crack down on braces that turn pistols into shotguns effectively, or short-barreled rifles. They're going to offer, the Justice Department is going to offer model red flag legislation to the states. So if Congress won't pass a law, that gives when the red flag goes up, somebody is, convicted or even charged with, a restraining order is issued against somebody for domestic violence. That should be a red flag that person shouldn't have a gun. They're going to offer that. They're ordering 5 different federal agencies to direct vital support to community violence intervention programs as quickly as possible. And he's putting forward David Chipman, an old ATF agent, as the head of the ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. And Chipman has spent the last year or so as an advisor to Americans for Responsible Solutions, which is Gabby Gifford's gun control group. So I think that we're moving in a really good direction. And in fact, Mr. Garland, Merrick Garland, the Attorney General at the moment, is addressing the nation, saying, we at the Justice Department are going to be doing something about this as well. So the Biden administration, to me, seems to be firing on all cylinders. The problem right now is in the Senate. And because Republicans have said they're not going to have anything to do with any negotiations, including the jobs plan, now you've got Democratic senators negotiating with each other, for better or for worse.